Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're diving into some seriously eye-opening source material from Globet-Thoughts, where we don't just talk about motivation, we actually break down how the human mind ticks so we can build better lives. I am super excited to get into this because we're looking at a concept that literally affects every single one of us every single day. Here's the massive takeaway right up front. Our biggest enemy isn't reality. It isn't the world around us. It's actually just our own imagination. So we're going to explore how to master your imaginary fears before they completely master you. To kick things off, I want you to picture this scenario. You're just sitting at your desk, going about a totally normal day, and suddenly your phone rings. It's your manager. He says, "Hey, can you come to my cabin for a minute?" Immediately, without even skipping a beat, your mind just starts spinning these wild stories. Oh man, I think I made a mistake. Wait, am I getting fired? What if my performance review is terrible? And then that ultimate gut-dropping panic sets in, your heart starts racing, and you think, what if my career is literally over? You're basically living a full-blown nightmare in your head before you even stand up from your chair. So you take a deep breath, you walk into the cabin, basically bracing for impact, and your manager just smiles and says, "Congratulations, you've been promoted." Sounds kind of funny in hindsight, right? But honestly, this is exactly how our minds work. Just look at the stark contrast between the absolute disaster we just cooked up in our heads and the actual reality of the situation. So the crucial point here is that the vast majority of what we are so terrified of just isn't real. A full 99% of our fear exists entirely inside our own thoughts as imaginary danger, with only a tiny 1% being an actual physical threat in the real world. In this explainer, our goal is to understand exactly why our brain creates this massive, overwhelming slice of fake fear, and, way more importantly, how we can actually learn to control it. All right, let's jump right into part one, the context. What actually is fear? To really get this, we've got to look at the biological why behind it all. Feeling fear doesn't mean you're weak. It actually means you have a highly functioning survival system. Fear is, at its core, a biological security guard. Thousands of years ago, this exact guard protected early humans. It's what told us, hey, don't touch that fire, don't try to fight that lion, don't jump off that cliff, and definitely don't eat that weird-looking plant. Without this biological security guard, humans simply wouldn't have survived. But here is exactly where the problem starts. It's like having this incredibly overprotective security guard who suddenly starts blocking you from entering your own house. Today, we obviously have a lot fewer lions roaming around, but our survival system, it is still highly active. So instead of running from wild animals, fire, or poison, our brains are now reacting to modern psychological threats. Things like other people's opinions, failure, and embarrassment, with the exact same intensity as if we were facing a physical life-or-death danger. Which brings us to part two, the imagination trap. Why exactly does the mind create all this fear? Why do our minds naturally default to pure panic, even when there's literally no threat around? Let's break this down with a really simple analogy. Imagine you're walking outside at night. It's pitch black out. You look down and you see a dark shape on the road. Instantly, your heart just starts pounding, adrenaline spikes. Your brain is screaming at you, it's a snake. You're completely terrified, basically frozen in place. But then, you cautiously inch a little closer, maybe shine your phone's flashlight on it, and it's literally just a piece of rope. This sheer relief that washes over you is huge. But what just happened there? Well, your brain didn't wait around for the facts. It instantly imagined the absolute worst-case scenario. And from an evolutionary standpoint, that makes perfect sense. It was just so much safer to survive by making a wrong fear assumption, like running away from a rope, than to die from a wrong confidence assumption, like stepping on an actual snake. So your brain is naturally hardwired to predict danger just to keep you alive. But today, most of those predictions are just false alarms. Like the source material perfectly captures, people suffer far more in imagination than in real life. The vast majority of our modern fears are just that, predictions. They are completely disconnected from our current reality. Let's move into part three, why 99% of fear never happens. Just think back to your own worries before a big job interview or final exam. Ask yourself, how many of those worst-case disasters actually played out? Very, very few, right? The honest truth is, most of these fears completely vanish the exact moment you take action. See, fear absolutely loves the dark. It loves isolation. The longer you put something off, the more your imagination just runs wild, and the bigger that fear becomes. Action, on the other hand, brings the light. It completely shatters those imaginary illusions and grounds you in what is actually happening right now, rather than what might happen someday. Okay, let's break this down even further in part 4, the deconstruction, the 5 biggest sources of fear. So if we know this fear is mostly totally fake, how do we dismantle it? We tackle the 5 main culprits. First up, the fear of failure. The reality here is that failure actually teaches you way more than success ever will. Pretty much every successful person failed first. Second, the fear of rejection. We constantly think, what if they say no? But remember, a no isn't the end of the road. It just redirects you to a better path. Third is the fear of judgment. The liberating truth here? People are generally way too busy worrying about themselves to spend any real time judging you. Fourth, the fear of uncertainty. We all want these ironclad guarantees, but life just doesn't offer them. True growth only begins where certainty ends. And finally, the fear of past experiences. Please, don't let one bad experience control your next 10 opportunities. Yesterday is not tomorrow's prison. And that leads us perfectly into part 5, the application, how to actually control this fear. We've deconstructed the what and the why, so let's look at 6 practical steps straight from the source to put you back in the driver's seat. Step 1, ask for evidence. When you start panicking, pause and ask, what actual proof do I have right now? No assumptions, just facts. Step 2, write it down. Getting those looping thoughts onto paper literally drains their power. Step 3, prepare. If you're terrified of an interview, rehearse. Preparation is the absolute enemy of fear. Step 4 is all about taking small actions, which we'll expand on in just a second. Step 5, improve your body. Poor sleep, junk food, and zero exercise will skyrocket your anxiety. Physical exercise is honestly one of the best natural ways to build a calmer mind. And finally, step 6 is to simply accept fear. I actually want to pause and really dig into step 4 for a second, because this is a total game changer. So many of us sit around waiting for our fear to completely disappear before we finally do the thing. That is a massive trap. You've got to move despite the fear. You take one small action, that gives you one small victory. That victory generates a little bit of confidence, and then you just repeat the cycle. Confidence is built solely through action, never ever through waiting. Which ties perfectly into step 6, acceptance. You really don't have to go to war with your own brain's survival system. You can literally just talk to it. You can say something like, hey, I know you're just trying to protect me, and thank you, but today I'm choosing courage. The most successful, brave people out there still feel fear all the time. The only difference is they acknowledge it and they make the choice to step forward anyway. If you remember literally nothing else from this entire explainer, let it be this one brilliant, simple truth. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. If it is warning you about real, actual danger, by all means, respect it. But if it's just spinning up imaginary problems in your head, you absolutely have to challenge it. Your future, your goals, and your dreams should never, ever be dictated by fake problems. So I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge as we wrap up today. What is one fear that you are deciding to face today? Just think about that one tiny, small action you can take right now to shine a light on the darkness and step out of your comfort zone. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to explore this awesome source material. Keep growing, keep questioning, and keep moving forward. See you next time.